Hey, Twisted listeners, I'm Cindy,
And I'm Diva.
and this is Twisted Listers, a podcast about murder.
And Liz.
And you said your name with such like finality that it threw me off. You were like, I'm Diva, not like I'm Diva, like you do, where like leads me into my next sentence. You were like, I
Okay.
am Diva.
I am Diva, yeah.
And I was like, you are, but also, what's my line? Because it's
Mm.
different. It took me a
When
second.
we've recorded early in the morning, sometimes I've forgotten my name. I've like forgotten. Well, like, wait, what do I do right now? Like, because we're so tired.
Yeah,
But
just introduce yourself. It can be hard, I know. This is at night or in the evening, but it's dark
yes,
out, so it's like officially starting to
yes,
get
we're
dark
getting there.
earlier. Thanks, I hate it. Um,
I kind of like it. It's spooky.
that's the one thing about winter that I really, really can't stand is that
Mm.
like the darkness. It's too dark for too long because also I get up before it's light out. I like beat the light
Right. It is
and
depressing when you leave work and you like missed daylight. Like that is a little depressing.
entirely. Well, that's
Yeah.
capitalism's fault. That's not like the earth.
No. No.
Let's
I
put
like
that
it.
blame squarely where it belongs.
I like it getting colder and cozier. I'm not a summer person at all. I don't fucking care for summer. So
The weather today was great. I was outside for the
yes,
last like
it was really
hour.
nice.
Yeah, it
Can you
was
believe
really
people at
lovely.
my work were requesting the fucking heaters, the heater lamps? I was like, are you stupid?
Oh
It's
my
like the most
God.
pleasant, sunny, like 72-degree day. And they were like, we're cold.
I was in a sleeveless shirt and like it was perfect.
Yeah,
I don't know. People are nuts.
people
Also,
are
if you're
insane.
just sitting, like when I'm sitting at
Yeah,
the computer, I get more cold for sure. So I understand that. But I don't know.
these are people like in the sun
Yeah, that's
requesting the
ridiculous.
requesting the heater. Yeah.
Yeah, y'all have been in Southern California too long.
Hmm. I mean, so have
Anyway,
I, but I'm not that bad.
no, I mean, I lived in Oregon long enough to like really, really appreciate. Okay, living in Oregon did two things. It made me appreciate the heat and it also made me appreciate the cool. Like now when it's
Yeah.
cool, I'm like, oh, I like this. And I remember this in Oregon and it felt really nice. Not when it's like fucking cold as fuck, but when it's like cool out, when it's like
Yeah,
moderate.
California winter temps are great.
Yeah, I enjoy them. And now I've really started to appreciate them. Anyway, this is a new recording, a new topic. It
Mm-hmm.
is
Spooky list.
it's murders involving chainsaws.
Chainsaw murders. Yeah.
Chainsaw
It's
murders.
like a little homage to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Also, shout out to one of the greatest movies of all time, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2,
Oh my
which I
God, that
strongly
movie.
recommend. Oh, it's so good. People have got it's underrated. The second one is so good.
It's silly.
No, it's fantastic, Cindy. It is
It's
like a
it's
masterpiece.
oh my God. It's so silly.
It
I enjoy
is
it. Like, don't get
fantastic.
me wrong. I have no problem with it. I enjoy it very much. But yeah, it's silly. But in a good way.
Sequel's
And
great.
everybody should watch it. And shout
Yes.
out to Jessica, my coworker, who was like, I don't know, do something with like Texas Chainsaw. And I was like, holy shit, that's so
So
simple.
smart. Yeah.
Like perfect. So I chose this. It's and here's the thing. There are some murders where people get murdered with chainsaws, but Dexter would have you believe it's a common occurrence. It's not. We'll pull
No,
back.
it's not because it's like a very like messy, chaotic, like violent thing to do. It's a lot of cleanup if you're going to be
Mhm.
killing someone with a chainsaw. It's not like a stab even or like
No, it's loud. It's
it's
loud. It's
insane. Yeah.
messy. It doesn't make sense. So these are not all murders by chainsaw. They just involve chainsaws. Which, if you know anything about true crime, you already know where stories are going to end up. So
Hmm.
if this is your
Yeah,
thing, stay
you know
tuned.
where the chainsaw comes in. You you
Yes,
can
you do.
guess.
Yes, you do.
You can guess.
Any other news? House cleaning? I'm so sorry. I keep yawning. Fuck, fuck me, man.
Brimming with energy here.
I know.
Woo.
Goddamn. Anything else we
Okay.
want to talk about?
No?
No? Okay. It's almost Halloween. Let's be excited. And
Yeah, I'm very excited.
me too. And I chose this topic, so you get to go first, I guess, right?
Yes. So this
Right.
is going to be the case of Tricia Todd.
Okay.
I'll go with her here. This happened in Hobe Sound, Florida in 2016.
Hmm.
I feel like Florida is ripe for the kind of case that we're talking about this week. It's going to be a lot. I might pick another Floridian one for all I know.
Yeah. Okay.
There seems to be a thing there.
Florida and chainsaws. That seems like
Yes.
peanut butter and jelly. Yeah.
Yes, there should be a spin-off movie of like Florida Chainsaw Massacre, you know.
Yes.
I'd buy it. I'd buy it.
Yeah.
So Tricia Todd met her would-be husband Steven as a young child. They were actually childhood sweethearts.
Oh.
They got yeah, they got that's a very that is going to be done in like 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Put a pin in that. So they knew each other their whole lives. They got married and they both joined the Air Force, which she left in 2008. She became a hospice nurse, which just props to her
Oh,
because that's a gnarly job.
yeah, it
You're
is. That's fucked
dealing with
up.
people dying all the time, so it takes a lot of like strength, I think, to deal with that.
Yeah.
And it's an awesome job, necessary.
Hmm.
He stayed on with the Air Force through all of time here. And in total, they were married for 11 years before they got divorced in early 2016.
Okay.
Together, they have a daughter named Faith, who is 2. And I think her name might have something to do with the fact that they are also both super religious.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
Faith, get it?
Yeah.
Um,
A little on the nose there, guys.
Yeah, at this time, Tricia is now 33 and Steven is 31. They've been divorced for 3 months at this time. So they're kind of like starting their new lives. And
Okay.
Tricia took Faith, of whom she got primary custody, and moved to her hometown of Hobe Sound, Florida, where she stayed with her brother. So she's kind of starting over.
I'd also like to point out that Trisha is my age. And I was like, wait, in 2016, 33, that sounds familiar. I did the math.
Yes,
Same age. Okay.
same age. Yeah. So April 26th of 2016, what's his face here? Steven, Steven, because their split was like, by all accounts, fairly amicable. He didn't like fight the custody arrangement or anything.
Hmm.
He just comes to visit Faith whenever he had time. So he was coming down for a visit on this day. He drove down from his base in North Carolina and got an Airbnb in Hobe Sound. And he spent the whole day with his ex-wife and his daughter.
Okay.
Then he left the little girl. Tricia left the little girl with him to spend the night, just like it's quality time.
Hmm.
The following day, Cindy's like waiting,
I'm
waiting
like,
for it.
where is this going?
So the following day, the 27th of April, Tricia was supposed to pick up her daughter from a babysitter, which I will explain where the babysitter comes in a second.
Okay.
But she does not show up, which immediately raises alarms. She also does not show up for work. So
Hmm.
everyone is like, woo, woo, wee, woo, wee, woo, like fucking
Hmm.
alarms. Her family goes to her house to see what the fuck is up with Tricia. And they do not find her there, but they find her car parked across the street from her house, which is super fucking weird, especially because it has her purse left in it and the keys still in the ignition.
Uh-oh. Oh,
um,
no. Okay.
Extremely weird. Her phone and her wallet are the only things that they can find that are missing. When they look inside the house, some groceries had just been set down, but not put away yet, and the lights were on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not good.
Not good. So Tricia's family officially reports her as missing pretty much right away. Further investigation turns up the security camera footage of her buying the very groceries found in her house on the 26th. So there's like a timeline of like, okay, she was there.
Right.
She bought those.
Hmm.
Investigators look at her cell phone records and see that on that night, presumably post grocery shopping, she had been at Steven's Airbnb.
Okay.
So they, of course, question Steven, and he says, well, she did come by, but she left, and I just haven't
Mhm.
seen her. That's it.
That's it. That's his whole thing. Yeah, she was here. She left. I don't know anything. Sorry.
And he says that she didn't come to pick up Faith in the morning, as was the plan. So that's why he took her to the babysitter. I guess he had something else to do. So
He had somewhere to go, so he just okay.
yeah, dropped her with the sitter. So
Hmm.
Steven tells police, volunteers some the possibility that she said she liked to go for long solo walks. So maybe something happened to her on one of those solo walks.
Wait, Steven or Steve is suggesting
Is
this?
volunteering this.
So he's being real helpful here. Okay.
So helpful.
Mm-hmm.
This was true. She did like to do that, but it's not like helpful at this moment.
Right.
So investigators look at everyone in her life, including a new love interest, a guy she was kind of pursuing,
Mm-hmm.
but no one is a suspect. Everyone's like exonerated or whatever the fuck. That's the wrong word. Everyone is cleared.
Cleared. Yeah.
Exonerated means they got like convicted. No, everyone is cleared as a suspect, so no one's on the radar.
Okay.
And at first, investigators actually openly say that they initially did not consider Stephen a suspect because he's a well-respected military guy,
Oh,
Cindy.
right, of course. And they would never do anything like
They
that.
would
They would
never.
never
They
hurt
would never.
anyone. Men who are
Yes,
training for
nothing.
war are definitely non-violent.
Yeah, cops and military guys, just beacons of morality, as we know,
Yes.
all the time.
Yes.
And he did seem cooperative. He offered to take a lie detector test, little stuff like that, where they're like, oh, okay, you know.
Yeah, but offering to do it
Um,
and actually doing it are two different things.
yeah. But quickly some shit starts to go down because an online journal, I like a little private blog. I don't think she was like writing it for a wide public, but some kind of
Mhm.
online journal of Tricia's surfaces, and it proves to be the biggest clue yet. She wrote basically really transparently about the tumult of their relationship, which oddly had seemed fine to, it was one of those things where it seemed fine to like a lot of outsiders.
Right.
But then like pretty much just a close family were like, nah, it wasn't.
Yeah.
You had to be really in their circle. And basically she wrote about Stephen being tremendously physically abusive throughout their entire relationship.
There it
Um,
is.
in one example, he kicked her in the stomach while she was pregnant.
Yeah.
And was
Nope.
like beating her up while she was pregnant, which like, whoa.
Yeah. That's a
Whoa,
next
pal.
level.
Yeah. He also abused animals, and including killing one of her dogs,
What
which
the fuck?
burn in hell, I say to that.
Yeah.
Luckily
That's the end.
there were no details further about that anywhere, so I didn't have to read it. But still,
Okay.
it's horrible enough.
Yeah, no, that's
Um,
awful.
so he really put her through hell. When they talk to Stephen's mom, she says right away that she believes her son was involved in the disappearance. So it's like if his mom is saying that, that's kind of like, woo,
His mom's straight up
okay,
like, hey, probably my son. He probably
yeah,
did this. No, that's
yes.
not good.
As investigators look into Stephen as a suspect, they find security camera footage showing him driving Tricia's car
Okay.
and separately his car out and about that night, including in the area of Tricia's house. So they're like, okay, this is looking worse and worse.
Okay. Yeah.
They put the heat on him and question him like more intensely, and his story basically, and they tell him about the footage that they have, and his story starts to morph into versions where he basically slowly admits more and more. For instance, the first iteration is that he just found her dead and then hid her body, which like massive eye roll.
Why would you do that if you find her dead? Like, why is your
So stupid.
so
Yeah.
dumb?
Then it's he had an argument with her and he killed her accidentally because he pushed her. And he says that he just dropped her body somewhere, but when pressed, he says he doesn't know where. And the cops are like, "Really? You don't know where?
You don't know
you can't.
where.
You can't give us a fucking radius of space." And he's like, "No."
It's like, dude, was that such a normal night for you that you can't even remember? Like,
Yeah,
oh, I don't
yeah.
know. I misplaced. It's like misplacing your keys.
That's what they
Like,
said.
come
Yeah,
on.
the interview transcript. They say, "Do you do this all the time? Is this
Yeah,
really
like,
common for you?"
yeah. How is it that this you couldn't? This is an unremarkable night for you. Like, come the
Yeah,
fuck on, bro.
yeah, yeah. But finally, after, like I said, revealing all the incriminating evidence they have against him and pressing and pressing and calling bullshit on his other versions, Stephen just confesses the full thing. And Stephen is very detailed and very,
Okay.
I think, honest about the horrific story
Mm-hmm.
here. It's more horrific than anyone could have imagined. And we know what the topic of this week is, so we kind of know where we're headed here on this
Yeah.
train.
Here we go.
So, and I mean, I can't get over how fucking horrific this is. He says psychologically too, like in terms of the planning, not just the violence.
Mm-hmm.
So Steven says he planned this entire visit well in advance, like we're talking months in advance, specifically to kill Tricia. It was
Why?
not to spend time with his daughter.
What a piece of
The
shit.
the day he spent with them, he was basically trying to get the nerve up to murder Tricia throughout the day, but just didn't.
Like while his
And
daughter was present? Like that's what we're
yes,
doing? Oh,
yes.
hell no.
In preparation for murdering her, he had in North Carolina and then brought with him, he had previously purchased a chainsaw and a barrel of acid,
What the fuck, dude?
like a massive container, and then also separately a container of acid.
That's
Um,
fucked.
Brought it all with him, and I believe on the way down, I'm assuming he even pre-dug a hole at the Hungryland Wildlife Reserve in Florida. So
Holy fuck.
he's going through a lot of labor to
Yeah,
prepare.
he's like really doing this. He's doing it.
Yes. After she left Faith with him and left for the night, he called her a short while later and asked her to come back to the Airbnb. And this is really cruel. He got her to come back by lying and saying that their daughter was sick,
Oh, come
which
on.
is so rude because, of course, he would come back if you say, oh, well, our daughter got super ill all of a sudden
Well,
or
and
something,
he
right?
spent the whole day with her. So like obviously they're at least getting along somewhat. Like why would you
Yeah.
spend the day together? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you could just
Yeah.
hand the kid off and be done. So there's some
No.
sort of like relationship there still.
Yeah, he's faking that it's amicable, essentially,
Right, right.
as all a ruse to trick her. And it's so insane to be like, yeah, your daughter's like puking or sick or something, and be like, of course she would come back for that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. When she does come back, he pretty much immediately, I've seen knocks her out and I've seen strangles her. But he basically does a combination of knocking her out in some way until she lost consciousness.
Hmm.
When she came to, Stephen basically demanded the password to her email. And I'm not sure if he tells her this, but he is asking for that because he wants to send everyone on her list or whatever, her contacts list, an email making it look like she left voluntarily.
Right.
And because she's so religious, he was specifically going to say that she was leaving on a mission trip to Haiti.
Okay.
Um,
Which she
I'm
just
not sure.
didn't tell anybody about and like had no friends that
Right.
were
One of
going and
those classic things. Yeah.
yeah.
Abandoning her daughter that she has full custody of, usual stuff
Right.
like that.
Yeah, the
Um,
normal rational shit that people do.
so apparently Tricia does not give the email password. She's like, hey, fuck you. And she starts becoming hysterical and frantic and screaming, like trying to fight back, obviously.
Hmm.
And in response, Stephen punches her and beats her in the head with a club
Jesus.
severely. And then he finally strangles her to death. All of this while the daughter is sleeping in the next room.
Jesus fucking Christ. What an absolute fucking monster.
Yes, he is. He then puts her body in a trash bag and puts it in Tricia's own car. He then leaves and drives away, but then quickly realizes her car is running crucially low on gas. So he goes to buy gas, which thankfully the gas station captures him doing so
Doing
on
that.
cameras. Yeah,
Also, he left his daughter alone asleep in a fucking Airbnb.
that is correct. He's also, well,
A
I'll come back to that
negligent.
later, actually.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
he does leave her. Yes, she is too.
Yeah. You can tell I'm a parent because I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, of
Yeah,
all the things,
yeah,
obviously he doesn't give a fuck about her. He just murdered her mother while she's
right.
there, but like,
Yeah, he's also just leaving her, a 2-year-old.
mhm.
So after getting the gas, he took her body to that wildlife reserve with the pre-dug hole. And
Mhm.
here we are. Here's the line for the show. He used the chainsaw to remove her teeth and fingertips.
That is not what you would use for that. What an idiot. I'm
Strikes me as
sorry. Like,
a very insane way to remove very small, delicate parts of the body.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something that it's like, it's fucking, not only is it overkill, but it's the wrong fucking tool. It's like trying to
Yes.
use like a fucking sledgehammer to like carve a fucking turkey. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know what I
It's
mean?
exactly
Like,
what it's like. It's so gruesome and hard to imagine. It's so disgusting. And yeah, weirdly clumsy as well.
huh,
He then also has, by the way, he brought a reciprocating saw. So there's essentially 2 forms of chainsaw here.
Jesus.
He uses the other saw to dismember her. Then he
Okay, I'm
puts
sorry. He has that exactly backwards. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please continue.
in terms of the types of saws and the tasks he is deploying
Yes.
them for. Yeah.
Yes. A
Um,
reciprocating saw is like a way more like it's not like a fine tuned instrument, but like compared to a chainsaw, you're going to get a lot more precise
yeah.
cuts with a reciprocating saw.
Well, that's
How
what
to
he
get
uses
away
to
with
dismember
how to dismember
her.
corner with Cindy. I'm sorry.
I know. I want to pull out all these audio clips of you telling murderers how to do a better job and just like compile them together
I'm
to a
sorry, but
mega
like
cut.
in everything that people do, I will call out if they're doing it
That's
illogically
true.
or
I
stupidly
mean, I
because
think
what the fuck?
objectively, even with murder, there's objectively times where people are doing a bad job. Yeah.
Yeah, like I have a
At
reciprocating
their
saw.
goal is not getting caught and not leaving evidence. They're doing a bad job.
They're doing it wrong. It's like this
Yeah.
guy took a lot of things that it's like, okay, the pre-planning, you did that fairly well. The whole, all of this, but it's like everything's just like a little off. It's just like a little like, meh, like he just enough to get caught pretty quickly, which is good, but also like, what an
Yes.
idiot. Okay, I'm sorry. Go
It
ahead. Continue.
continues. Yeah. He then put her various body parts into the tub of acid, which he had prepared, and
Hmm.
buried the tub of
Okay.
acid. He later, because he confessed to all of this, I'll get to that in a minute. He would later lead police to the spot where it was buried. He did, in fact, remember after all.
Hmm.
They found Tricia's torso in the container with the acid. And of course,
Hmm.
there's like the typical stories of cops, crime scene investigators who found this stuff being like, now I'm fucked up for life.
Yeah,
Um,
that's it for
Kind of
me.
that kind of thing. Yeah, like I cannot unsee this.
Hmm.
They also found bits of her teeth and the fingertips scattered around the surrounding area. So from the chainsawing, they also found the tools that he used in the murder, including the chainsaw and the reciprocating saw. And they both still had pieces of Tricia's flesh and hair in the blades,
Wow.
even
Okay,
though they were found at the bottom of a canal.
I'm going to remove all of her identifying body parts and then just scatter them like fucking candy. Like,
Like
why would
confetti.
you, yeah, why would
Yes.
you do that? Like, you want to get
Yes.
caught? Like, I don't understand.
And the chainsaws are still loaded with like bodily material, but I guess he thinks putting it in water will like wash it away, but it does not.
Yeah, he's just
So,
very smart.
yes. Additional security camera footage is also uncovered showing Stephen buying the acid and all the various materials and the chainsaw
Mhm.
at the Home Depot in North Carolina months prior. Also, I just want to say that I'm frightened by why barrels of acid are being sold at Home Depot. Can you think of an innocuous use for that?
A barrel of acid?
Mm-hmm.
I really can't. I have to tell you, I don't really
What do you
know
use that for?
what acid is for.
But I'm
Like,
saying, what do you use it for in a non-murder context?
yeah, like a barrel of acid specifically feels very like,
Really any amount, but I'm just saying, even any amount. Like, what do you use it for?
well, I know you can use acid for like etching glass, I think is like one thing.
Mm,
Um, that's the only thing off the top of my head I can think of. I know there's other uses, but I feel like acid in a body-sized barrel is a very like single-use kind of item. Like there's
yeah.
one singular thing you're using that for.
I mean, I know with like lye, you use it for like cleaning and soap and things like that. Maybe
Yeah, yeah.
that's kind of an acid. Um,
I just I just Googled it and it just told me about like LSD.
okay, very different acid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very different. Anyway, back to Stephen here.
Okay.
You may ask, as you already did ask, why? Why did he do this insanely brutal,
Mm-hmm.
elaborate, planned out murder? What was the motive? So apparently he wanted custody of his daughter. He did not want to pay child support. And he
Okay.
also felt that Tricia had, quote unquote, disrespected him in a recent video call they had with his daughter. So this is kind of in keeping with the abusive asshole shit. Like, he has like one thing that she does that's like sassy, and he's like, that's it. And quietly decides to kill her.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
that's
it.
and just pretends to be nice to her as well. Doesn't even tell her like, I'm mad that you said that or something.
I want to be surprised, but just like based on this guy's other actions of like beating her while she's pregnant, like in her pregnant belly, like
Or
basically
killing a dog.
attempting killing a dog, attempting to harm his unborn baby because he's mad
Yeah.
at his wife. Like this guy has no limit to like how evil he is, clearly.
No.
So it's not like, yeah,
Yeah, but he's the kind of guy who's not going to like fight the custody thing. He's not going to fight the child support. He's just going to quietly do this instead. Like,
right. Hmm.
you know.
Right.
So, in exchange for his full confession and for showing police where the body was, he was allowed to plead guilty to second-degree murder, even though this is very first.
This is like the
Um,
most first degree
the
murder that
most
ever
first.
was.
Yes, he gets a great
Jesus.
plea deal, and he only gets 35 years in prison,
So he'll
which
be out
everyone
in his like
says,
60s?
yeah,
And we're in
yes,
Florida?
because he was 31 at the time. Yes.
How white is this guy?
No, he's black.
What the what?
He's actually a black man. Yes. Yeah, I know.
Was she
So
wait,
this,
but was she black also?
no, she was white. Cindy's shook twice. Yeah.
I'm fucking speechless.
It's wild. Yeah. So this is a very good deal for him because otherwise he definitely could have gotten the death penalty. Obviously, this is Florida and he's a black man, so this is a extremely good deal for him.
It had to
Basically.
just be the military shit, right? It had to be.
I think that helped. Yeah, the well-respected military man vibes could have helped a lot. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But also, I'm surprised they didn't do the thing where it's like, in exchange for your plea deal, you get life and not the death penalty. I'm surprised they didn't do that
Yeah. They're
rather
like, you get
than
second
all the way
degree?
down to second degree. Yeah. And
Wow.
in Florida, just not killing you is already a good deal because they kill people fast.
And they love
Um,
to. It's like their
so
favorite thing.
yeah, and we've seen that plea deal in Florida before, where they just let you plead to not get the death penalty.
That's fucking insane. I am like completely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So Faith was adopted by Tricia's brother, and her family gave a very Jesus-y statement. I don't want to criticize the family of the dead here, but it's very Jesus-y for me.
Mm.
Saying that they have chosen to forgive him because of their faith and Tricia's faith, blah, 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 blah. But they still want justice served. But I don't think they were too mad about the sentence because they're just like, blah, 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 Christian stuff.
Mm.
But at
Okay.
least they're raising Faith and she's doing good. But
I
yeah,
mean,
it's
listen,
whatever helps you, whatever helps you.
yeah, as long as they aren't living like with hate and pain, as much pain in their heart, like great, good for you. You know, they didn't do anything wrong. If that's what they need to feel better, then more power to them, you know. But also, bleh, I don't know.
Yeah. But that's, yeah, it's a shocking case, and the plea deal is also shocking.
That is
Weird.
extremely shocking. I like couldn't talk for a
Yeah.
minute, which is very unlike me. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I think it's a military connections thing.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, that was fucking weird. Not at all what I anticipated, but cool. All right. On to mine, I guess. This is the case of Estibaliz Carranza. Now her full first name is something else. I don't feel like embarrassing myself and attempting to say it. But she's got a long name. I'm not gonna do it. But anyway, so Estibaliz Carranza, who went by Esti, was
Hmm?
born in Mexico in 1978. She moved around as a child. Um, she was very petite, had this sort of like vulnerability about her. Her whole life, she was very like diminutive and small, extremely feminine. It's weird. Like I was looking at photos of her and I immediately felt like soft towards her, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Like I
Yeah. Yeah.
saw
For sure.
her and I like wanted to like take care of her kind of. She's just so little and like
Mm.
I don't know, she just
She
looks.
looks like she would wear like a fluffy baby blue sweater
Yes, yeah, she does. She just looks
somehow.
very like she needs help. I don't know. So you just feel
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
should take care of her. Um, so anyway, if I feel that way, imagine how men felt, right?
Right.
Um, so her family when she was young had to flee Mexico because her father was a journalist and he was seen as a political
Mm.
dissident. So they actually were raided by the Mexican government and had to flee to Spain.
Oh shit.
So yeah, they have
Okay.
yeah. And I guess in Mexico before he was, raided, he actually had a lot of money, had a good job, had a good life. But, the Mexican government is like not super down for people who are like talking shit on them. So they will come raid your house and like try to kill your family. So they went to Spain where her father got not quite as good of a job and made not quite as much money. And things just weren't as good. So her life wasn't as happy. Her parents weren't as happy. It was just kind of a somber household. They did have another
Okay.
baby when she was, I think, like 8 or 9. Her parents had another kid and she was given a younger brother. And immediately she started asking, when can I be a mother? Like, this is amazing. Like, the miracle of her younger brother's birth was like so wonderful and amazing to her that she immediately
Yeah.
was like, all I want in life is to get married and have babies. And that was like from the
Okay.
time she was 10 years old. Like, she was like, this is what I want.
Wow, it's not like that.
No, me neither.
No.
Me fucking neither. But she was like, that's all I want. That's all I want. That's all I want.
Okay.
So as a teen, she's always looking for love. But again, because she's small, easy to take advantage of, more often than not, she would find trouble. In fact, one time when she was in her, mid-teens, she was raped by a man at a dance club. And she didn't tell
Mm,
anybody because she was scared.
okay.
Shortly after that, she did get a serious boyfriend. And he broke it off with her when she started being like, "Hey, when can we get married and have babies?" And he was like, "We met in high school. Like, absolutely
Mm,
not. This is
yeah,
not,
not
we're
everyone's thing.
yeah, we're 17, 18 years old, something like that. And you're talking about like marriage and children. Like, whoa, whoa, whoa." So they break up. She's all alone. Um, and according to her, she wrote a book, by the way, called My Two Lives. And according to her, this breakup with this boyfriend was the first time that she felt like she wanted to murder someone. And it was the boy who broke up with her that she wanted
Right.
to murder. She
I
didn't.
mean, fair, a little bit, almost. Everyone
Well,
feels that. We don't act on it, but everyone has
no,
felt that.
I think it's different for me. Like, God, I wish he was dead. And I'm like, if he actually was dead, I'd be really sad. Like an ex-boyfriend, like I would feel terrible about that. Like, I don't like them, but like I don't wish them to be dead. For her, she was like, I want him to be dead so much that I might do it myself. So
Right.
I think it's a little different, little nuance there.
Yeah.
But anyway, she didn't kill him. Her family realized, she's really sad. She's not doing so great. She graduated high school with honors. She did really well, but they could just tell that she was like very sad. So when she was like maybe 18 years old, they sent her to Berlin to work as an au pair over the summer. So they're like, why don't you go work with a family, stay with them, take care of their children since you love that so much? Go do that for a job. And she loved it. She learned German in like a matter of like weeks. She was
That
like,
is
yeah,
impressive.
yeah, she's very, very
It's a
smart woman.
very, very hard language.
Right, right. And she was just caught on. I think she was so in love with being there and wanted to stay. So
Yeah.
she was like, I'm just going to learn the language. I'm
Well, it
going to do
helps to
this.
like immerse yourself in the culture
Right.
too, where like I'm
Yeah.
just sitting here on Duolingo suffering with it, it's not gonna go as well as if I was
No,
there.
no. I had a friend in college who told me that they had lived in China for like a year and they had become fluent within like the first few months again,
You
like
can,
same kind
yeah,
of thing.
it's a good way to do it.
Well, but he was like, nobody speaks English here. I went to an
Yeah.
all women's college, but obviously, that's where you and I met. But prior to that, I went to a junior college. So there were men there. And that's where I was told this. This was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But he was like, you can't survive if you
Yeah. When you
learn.
have to, that is a great way
Mhm.
to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I one time told a woman in French that my subway card got demagnetized by putting it in my pocket. If you were like, I'll kill you if you don't repeat what you said to her right now, I would just die. I have no idea how I knew those words, but they came out. Anyway, so she loved it there. She decided to move there permanently. She got a job at an ice cream shop and was working there. So it's this really cute, petite little 22-year-old girl working at an ice
Mhm.
cream shop. And she meets a man named Holger Holtz. Now, Holger here was 36 and she was
Okay.
22. And the two hit it off right away, which I don't love because that's,
Sam and I
Yeah.
were like the same age difference, but
Were you
my husband and I,
22 though? Were you
yeah,
22?
I was 23 and he was 36. It's the exact same age.
Okay, but who? I don't know. You went after him. I don't know. I feel like
Oh, she's blaming me.
I am. It's your fault. Well, it's different if you're the pursuer, but like again with her, I feel like this is kind of a pattern in her life. So I don't love
Yeah,
that because I think he saw in her like a target kind of, and
yeah,
she is just so desperate for this like marriage and babies and things. Maybe she's thinking, oh, an older guy, I'm going to have a better chance of him wanting to
sure.
settle down. I don't know. Either way, they hit it off right away. Holger was a Hare Krishna, and they have a lot of
Hmm.
interesting ideas about things. Yeah, pretty weird.
Okay.
You don't hear that every day, you know.
No.
Being a Hare Krishna isn't necessarily weird. It's just weird that there's one in a story because I feel like that's not common.
No.
Anyway, and they have a thing, one of their things is there should be no sex before marriage. So Holger's like, hey, let's get married. I know we've been dating for like 3 weeks, but like, let's go ahead and get married.
Perfect for her.
Yeah. And she's like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
No, her family did not go to the wedding. They were not happy about this. And honestly, they were right to worry because pretty
Yeah.
quickly things started to kind of go down the shitter. Um, Holger was hot and cold with her. He was controlling. He wasn't very loving. He did convince her to move to Vienna, Austria, and open an ice cream parlor of their own.
Okay.
Esty didn't want to go originally, but Holger promised to give her a family once they relocated. And this was something she'd been asking for, like I said, since they were married. So she
Yeah.
agreed to move as long as they could have kids, like as soon as they were settled.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. The ice cream shop became a big success. The couple was comfortable. They had a good life in terms of finances, but all was not well between them. Esty was doing all the work. Holger was just being a lazy shitbag. He just stayed home and surfed the internet. This was around like 2005, 2006, so the internet was still new enough that it was like a novel thing, and people would just spend their whole lives just staring at their computer screen. I mean, people still do, but it was kind of new enough that people were like, "Ooh." So he's just sitting there on his computer day and night. She is doing all of the work at the ice cream store, the shop. She's running it, hiring people, and he's just kind of chilling, like living off the money that they make, or that
Yeah.
she makes essentially. And Esty was becoming more and more angry with Holger. At this point, he had stopped having sex with her altogether because, again,
Mm.
he believed that sex was only for procreation. And despite his promises,
Oh.
he made it clear that he was not interested in having a baby.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Lame.
yeah,
Okay.
really not cool. And Esty had been essentially badgering him nonstop since they arrived in Vienna. And Holger was less and less receptive. And he was basically just ignoring her. Like their marriage was essentially over and just,
Yeah. Just
um
dragging out.
yeah. So while running this ice cream shop on her own and low-key hating her husband, Esty met a man named Manfred Hinterberger. This guy was also a bit older than her and he was a smooth talker and the two hit it off and fell in love just like she did with Holger. She met Holger at an
Hmm.
ice cream shop, now she met this guy at an ice cream shop.
Very ice cream centric lifestyle, which
It
I
really
understand.
is. Yeah, no, I have
Yeah.
no problem with this. So they start, sneaking around behind Holger's back. Esty was super happy. They did nearly get caught, like somebody saw them out together, and they
Mm.
decided, you know what, we don't want to do it like this anymore. Holger, you know, or sorry, Manfred tells her, why don't you leave Holger and just make it official
Yeah.
and come be with me? And Esty's like, yeah, I'm into it. Let's do it. So she asks Holger for a divorce and he grants it to her and they divorce, but this good for nothing ass man will not leave their fucking house. So he's not working, he's not
Mm.
paying bills, he won't fucking leave.
Terrible.
Yeah, he still owns part of the business and I guess the house is still in his name, so he just refuses to move out even after the divorce is finalized. So now Esty's really fucking mad. She's ready to move on. She wants to start having babies. She's been waiting long enough. She's in her fucking probably like early 30s at this point.
Yeah.
2006. Yeah, she's like, you know, getting up there. She wants to have fucking babies.
Yeah.
So Manfred was also, like I said, quite a bit older than Esty, had actually already had grown children at the time. And so this was a point of contention between them because Esty made it very clear she wanted kids. And even though, he had told her, oh, break up with Holger, Manfred wasn't super into having kids. And The two of them actually broke up at one point while Holger was still living in her house. So Esty and Manfred break up. She has her
Oh my
ex-husband
gosh.
living with her. It's like this whole fucking mess.
Ugh.
Eventually, Esty and Manfred do reconcile. But during this time, Esty also went out on dates with other men because she was like, listen, I'm finding somebody. Somebody's going to
Yeah.
marry me and give me some fucking kids. So
Yeah, she knows what
anyway,
she wants.
she knows and she's trying to get it. So
Yeah.
Holger refuses to leave still, and Esty finally gets fed up with his bullshit. Now, one of the things that Holger had started spending their money on was guns. He had a pretty big gun collection at their home. And one night in 2008, Esty grabs one of his guns and shoots him in the head while he's doing exactly what he does every single day, sitting on a fucking computer staring at the internet.
Mm.
So she kills him dead. She gets scared and that same night tries to burn his body. But a neighbor calls the fire department to report a house fire because they can smell the burning body. They see black smoke. Esty actually opens up her front door to let some of the smoke out and she sees the firemen coming up the walkway. She's like, oh, fuck, what do I do? So she uses her like little woman charm and plays up her like little baby role, whatever, and gets them to leave. She's like, oh, I burnt my dinner really badly. There's no fire. Everything's fine. So they don't come in. And she decides to go to one of her internet boyfriend's houses and spend the night there. And the next day she comes back. But before she comes home, she goes to the store and she buys a chainsaw.
There it
There we
is. We need
go.
a sound effect. Honestly,
I
we need a
know.
sound effect. Yeah, yeah.
She also buys some concrete, some flower pots, some buckets, basically
Hmm.
like a murderer's burial kit. And she goes home and she uses this chainsaw to decapitate and dismember Holger.
Wow.
Yes. She doesn't try to cut his goddamn fingers off. She does the big limbs. She then
Hmm.
takes each chunk of his body and sticks it into a different flower pot or bucket, fills them with concrete, and puts them in the cellar of her ice cream shop.
Very Bruce MacArthur of her.
Yeah, it really
Flower
is.
pots.
The flower pots,
Except
yeah.
he put them in people's like
In
yards, so
people's
that was a
fucking
little bit
yards, which is
more bold. Yeah.
absolutely fucking bonkers. Also, in
Yeah.
my note, I didn't write that she filled them with concrete. I wrote that she filled them with ice cream, but
Oh,
I
that would
fixed
not
it
be an
right now.
effective
No, that wouldn't
encasement
work.
method.
No.
No.
No, so she puts these concrete filled flower pots in the cellar of her ice cream shop and she hangs a bunch of like room scent things, like
Hmm.
what are they called? Anyway, like there's a bunch of Glade plugins in that room trying to hide the smell.
God.
Yeah. So I don't know the exact timeline, but sometime not too long after this, she and Manfred reconcile, they get back together.
Hmm.
And most people were just happy for her. They thought, oh, Holger finally fucking left her alone. This
Yeah.
loser ass took off.
Right, right.
He doesn't have a lot of family. Nobody really gave a shit about this guy. He doesn't sound like much
Oh
of
man.
anything.
Okay.
And so she and Manfred start up again. Again, like Manfred was not super good looking. Esty is just straight up beautiful. Like just really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
And so Manfred is not, but he was a smooth talker. And again, I think that Esty was kind of used to being treated as lesser than by men due to her father, past experiences in her youth. So she
Hmm.
became sort of the punching bag in the relationship. Manfred would ignore her pleas for a baby and eventually started cheating on her. And it didn't even take that long for him to start cheating on her. It was like a couple of months,
Oh
at
my
most.
God. Okay.
Esty found pictures of naked women in his phone, and at this point, she lost her shit entirely. And
Yeah.
this time, much like your chainsaw man, she planned her revenge.
Hmm.
In November 2010, one night, she got up to find that Manfred had been online all night, looking at and talking to other women on a dating site and basically just being a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So Esty went out and bought herself a new chainsaw because she needed a freshie for this.
Oh my
Hmm.
gosh. Okay.
Yep.
The other
She
one
also,
probably still dirty. She didn't feel like cleaning it, maybe.
yeah, she's not trying to mix these men. So
Oh.
she buys a new chainsaw. She gets more flower pots, more concrete. And I don't know if she got a new gun or she still had many of Holger's to choose from. But basically, what she later said in the book was that she bought these items at first just to sort of, play into her fantasies of murdering Manfred. And she said she
Okay.
didn't she didn't think she was actually going to do it. But it's interesting because she bought all of the things that she ended up buying after she killed her ex-husband in something of I feel like the first murder was like second degree. She shot him and then
Yeah.
was like, what do I do? I'll try to
Right.
burn
Right.
him. Wait, I'll bury him. This one is
Right.
very, very first degree.
Much more first. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't buy things like that if you're not
Hmm.
planning to use them. But that's what she did.
The receipts don't lie. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
planning.
yeah. So a few nights later, they went out on a date. They had some drinks while out on the town. And once again, Esty catches Manfred checking out other women, and the two of them get into a fight about it. Manfred says, I think I might be a sex addict. And she said, well, you need to
Uh-huh.
start going to therapy. And he's like, I'll do whatever the fuck I want about it. You don't like it. It's too fucking bad. Like, deal
Oh,
with it.
okay. Well,
Hmm.
fuck you then. Okay.
Fuck you then. Yeah. So he then goes to bed, basically like, what are you going to do about it, bitch? And what she does about it was while he's sleeping, she grabs a gun, loads it, and shoots him 4 times in the head.
Oof. Okay.
Yes. She then leaves him.
Not shooting to injure there. She's shooting
No,
to kill.
she's
Yeah.
making sure the deal is done.
Yeah.
And she leaves him in the bed overnight in their shared bed in their fucking house. And the
Mm.
next morning, she gets up, she takes her brand new chainsaw, she decapitates him, cuts him in pieces, puts him in the flower
Oof.
pots, puts the concrete on it, puts him in the cellar with Holger. So now she got Manfred and
Okay.
Holger in her cellar in flower
In the
pots.
cellar. Okay.
Hmm.
Selling ice cream up top and murder
And
basement in the
in the
below.
bottom, yeah, yeah. It's like a mullet, like business in the front, party in the back. So this time, Manfred's family was looking for him, not like Holger.
Mm-hmm.
Manfred had family.
Right, right.
Manfred had people who loved him. And Esty played along. She reported him missing. She acted very concerned, very
Yeah.
worried, very sad. But she also that same day went and got herself a manicure to hide the damage to her nails that was made
Okay.
from cutting them up and mixing the concrete.
Okay. I thought it was just for fun there for a second. I was like, oh
No,
my God.
no, no, no. So she plays this part of the sad woman so well that one of Manfred's friends, a man named Roland, steps up to care for her because she's just so upset by what happened, by him being gone. Who knows where Manfred is? So
Yeah.
Roland starts checking in on her, taking care of her. And as you can imagine, this blossoms into a relationship. And he ends up leaving his wife for her. Now, shortly thereafter, Esty finds
Wow.
out that she is pregnant. And
Oh,
mhm. Now Roland is shocked, but unlike the other two men, he's pretty happy about it. He's like, this is
okay.
great. I want to do this. Let's do this. Like, let's do it. I love
Yeah.
you. I'm happy. So everything's starting to fall into place. Esty is finally getting the life that she wanted. She just had to get through those two worthless men, put them in the cellar,
Put him in the
and,
basement.
now she can move
Yeah.
on. Unfortunately for her, on June 6th, 2011, Esty goes into work at the ice cream shop. She's about 5 months pregnant, and she sees something is very, very wrong. There are a ton of people there. Her workers all look really
Mm,
freaked out. There's a plumber looking weird. And her neighbor at the shop says, oh, I had a burst pipe. And a plumber came in to fix it. And he had to break down a door in our shared cellar to get to the burst pipe.
um,
And we all know what he found inside.
it gigs up. Yeah.
Hmm. So Esty takes off super fast, calls her shop cleaner, like a woman who does the cleaning. And this woman was like one of her closest friends. And she's like, can you meet me with my savings book so I can get money out of my bank account? Because she bailed out and then she realized, fuck, my basically like her checkbook is at the shop. I can't go back to the shop. There's going to be cops there. I'm going to get arrested. So she has her cleaning lady bring it to her and she does it. She did not sell her out.
Wow.
She meets her, they cry, they hug, and Esty leaves. So this woman knows she's like aiding and abetting. So Esty pulls 10,000 euros out of the bank and then takes off. She realizes she doesn't have her passport, but she comes across a customer who's always in the ice cream shop. This man, like her cleaner, helped her and didn't sell her out. He went to her house and got her passport for her. And she asked him, can you take me to the airport? And instead, he calls her a taxi. And she understands what he's saying is, I'm not going to rat you out, but I'm not going to take you myself. So he gets her a taxi, wishes her luck. She calls Roland from the airport and says, come meet me here. Roland has no clue what's going on, right? Nothing, no
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
So she buys a ticket to Paris. And as she's about to board, Roland finally calls her. He's there. And he's like, what's going on? What's going on? And she's like, I have to leave. She kind of gives him a little idea what's going on. And he's like, okay, just, I don't know. I don't know what he says. He's like, let me know what happens or something. He's like, just very confused. She then
Yeah.
changes her mind and decides to take a taxi into Italy. But a news report about what she had done came on the radio, and she told the taxi driver the truth. So he, again,
Mm.
doesn't immediately rat her out. He drops her off in the nearest town and gets her a hotel room under his name. Because
Wow, she's a fucking manipulator, smooth
she's
talker.
so good. She really is. People
Yeah,
just want, I mean, if I saw her, I would want to help her. I can't help
right.
it.
And she's yeah, exactly. She's amping up the like I'm just this petite girl like vibe,
Yeah,
you know.
she really is. And like, I can see how it can work, how it would work.
Yeah.
So the taxi driver the next day had like a crisis of conscience and he did tell the cops. But by that
Okay.
time, she had already moved on. And I think he kind of knew that she would have. So he didn't worry too much about telling them. So they show up at the town where he got her the hotel room, but she's already gone. She then meets a busker on the street in this town, wherever she ends up, and stays with him for a night. But he sells her out while she's at his house. And the police come and arrest her in his house. So finally
Okay.
somebody gave her up. And it was a stranger. She'd never met him before, but he knew who the fuck she was, obviously. So pretty quickly she gives a full confession. She gets sent back to Vienna, and while awaiting trial, um she gives birth to a baby boy, and she names him Roland.
Oh,
So now we have Roland
okay.
Sr. and Roland Jr.
Junior.
Now,
Okay.
yep. Now Esty is in prison, and while she's in prison awaiting trial, she and Roland Sr. get married. And people
Oh,
mhm, ask him like, "How- she killed her last two
what's up with
dudes.
that?
Yeah, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
And he basically was like, she's a wonderful woman, and I will wait for her for the rest of my life to get out of prison so that together I
Wow.
care, I love her.
All right.
Yeah. Her parents were given custody of their baby, I think because they got married, so Roland couldn't have the baby because they didn't want her in contact with the baby. So they gave
Okay.
it to her parents. Um, and then finally, at her trial, Esty did her thing. She gained a lot of sympathy from the jury. She said things, and she said this in her book as well. Like, if I had met Roland first, none of this would have ever happened. I killed these men
Mm-hmm.
because they, led me on and abused me and cheated on me and were no good. And
Yeah.
kind of like, well,
Yeah.
you're not wrong. Your
You
response was
didn't
wrong.
have to chainsaw them though. Like you didn't
Yeah,
have to.
you didn't have to murder them. You could have
Could have
just
just
left
broken
them.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she got a lot of sympathy from the jury, but not quite enough. Um, and so she was given life, but not in prison. The prosecution framed her as a psycho who planned the murder, and the chainsaw dismemberment definitely didn't help. But she was given life in a mental hospital. I did read
Oh,
something that she
okay.
was being sent to a men's prison, but it was like the Sun or something.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. And also, I think that they're starting to send women to men's prisons, not necessarily to mix with
Hmm.
the men. I don't know. I almost didn't mention it because the whole article just seemed really fucking sus. But in
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
case, I don't know. So as far as I know, she's still living in a mental institution and will be there forever. As I
Wow.
mentioned, she wrote a book about the killings. She got none of the proceeds from it, but she did write it. And the person writing it kind of called her bullshit a lot and was like, please don't manipulate the situation. Like,
Mm,
tell the fucking truth. She will likely never get out. I know that in Austria there is a possibility of getting out, but every time that she's like evaluated, they're like, you're still about 3 times as likely to reoffend as like an average criminal. So, and not just reoffend, but like murder more people. So they're
yeah,
not,
it kind
yeah.
of seems like it because, like, if she had a bad breakup going on with, like, Roland, for example, what's to say she wouldn't just, like, chainsaw him?
Or if he does something that she perceives as like
Yeah.
problematic, like if he's like, if he talks to other women online, which it doesn't sound like he would do any of those things,
But
but
this
he's
can't
very
be the way you deal with these things,
dangerous. Yeah,
Esty.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that she was like, when my high school boyfriend broke up with me, like I considered killing him, like
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
problem. That's not like a normal reaction. So
No.
no. So anyway, that's her story. Chainsaw, concrete, and flower pots, and now she's in
And
a
ice
mental
cream.
institution. And ice cream. Yeah, it all kind of ties together somehow.
Yeah.
So,
Also, the photos are extremely spooky of this basement. They look like
oh,
it's
I
a really old, it
know.
looks like it's like a really old building, and like all the photos of like the stairway down to the basement and the door and shit look like very
Are like
spooky.
very scary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. For some
Oof.
reason, all of the pictures of Holger, his like eyes are blurred out, which I find really weird. It's like people don't want the like to know, like his family doesn't want people to know what he looks like or something. I don't know. It's really weird. Also, the
Weird.
name of her ice cream was Schleckeria Ice Cafe.
Yeah. What does that
EIS.
mean? What does Schleck mean?
I don't know. I have no fucking clue.
Schleck.
But
I feel like that's a thing.
are you looking?
German meaning. I feel like that's a German word.
I
Oh,
mean, it must be.
suck. Yeah, Schleck means suck in German.
Suck?
Yeah.
Sucker? Cafe? Ice Cafe? I don't know. She's called like the ice cream murderer, the ice cream lady. Immediately the news was calling her that, like before she was even caught. It was like on the news, like
Yeah.
the ice cream murderer, like, but
Well,
I
it's
don't
kind of
know.
a play. It's a play on Spanish because, like, in Spanish, you get like carniceria, or like, you get the like
Oh,
eria as
right.
like a
That's
little
I was
shop.
like,
So she's doing like
yeah,
suck eria, like the little like suck store.
a suck store? But what does that mean? You don't
It's not a
suck on
direct
ice cream.
translation.
It's
She's like, it's
like
a
when you
little
would like
cute
lick an
play.
ice cream cone or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All
It's a
right.
cute play on how you name stores in Spanish with eria on the
Okay.
end.
Yeah, I was like, the Eria sounds Spanish. I was
Yeah.
confused. So thank you for helping
Ice
clear that
cafe
up.
would be ice cream cafe. I can do
Right.
that much for
EIS,
you.
right? Ice Cafe. That sounds, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Um, anyway, okay, there it is. There we have it.
Wow, that was
Yeah.
good.
Those are our first two. I hope you all like them.
Okay.
I
Makes me want
guess
ice cream.
I know. Me too. Me too,
Mm.
friend. All right, so
Despite the
there's
horrors.
yeah. I'm like, why does this make me want ice cream? I feel like a bad
I
person
have
for that.
the Trader Joe's caramel apple mochi in the freezer, and they're so good.
I have nothing, but I ate
I
9
need them.
Oreos earlier today, so maybe I shouldn't have any ice cream. I'm just gonna say.
We need some Oreo ice cream.
Yeah. Oh
Sounds
my
good.
God. Um, okay, anyway. Anything else? That's it.
No, let's
Do
do
you have
it.
anything else to talk about?
No. Halloween. Happy Halloween, everyone. It's the
Yeah,
best.
happy
It's
Halloween.
the happiest time of year.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for listening. A couple of places I'm gonna keep talking, I guess, after all. Um, a couple of places, a couple of podcasts have taken the whole spooky thing a little too far for me.
Mm.
I don't really like ghost stories. Like I just
Oh,
don't. I'm
I
sorry.
do.
I know I'm a dumb asshole. I get it. But I think there are people like me who are like, I just want to hear about actual real murders and not necessarily
Right.
like hauntings and things. So I've really enjoyed personally just to pat us on the back that we have kept it spooky and Halloweeny, but we haven't gone so far over that it's
Spooky
something that
murders.
like, yeah, we've kept it pretty pure and I like that. So I just want to
Yeah.
say that. I hope you all agree. If you do want to hear
Mhm.
like hauntings and shit, let us know. I don't know that I would do it, but maybe. If enough people
I
want
would
to
do
see.
it for like a Patreon or something if there's a
Yeah,
few people that want it.
yeah.
I love haunted places. But
I do too, but I want them to be haunted because like a murder occurred there. You
yeah, it can be
know?
boring. It can be done boringly for sure.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
I
glad
like
we
some
didn't do
ghost
that.
shit more than other
Mhm.
ghost shit. But
Agreed.
I also love a cheesy ghost show, just like when I want mindless TV. We love to watch the ones that are like, knock 3 times if you're here. Like, I love that shit. It's so
Oh
stupid.
my God, I hate it with all of my soul.
But
I
we
hate
don't
any
believe
reality
it.
TV.
We don't believe it. We're like making fun of them, but it's funny.
Right. The only reality TV I like, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, is the Great British Baking Show.
Mm.
GBBO, Great British Bake Off is what it really is, but I've been trying to call it what they call it now, which is stupid, but whatever. In any case, in fact, I'm going to go watch one right now while I edit and put out this episode. So, everybody, thanks again for listening. Please like, rate, review, share with your friends, join us on Patreon, and all that jazz. And until the next half of this interesting topic,
Jay.
off our
Les.
lips. Stop 'em.
Les. Bye.
Bye.